Okay, so I guess it's gonna take several tries at recording this video, which I am assuming probably happens a lot for people. So hello. Um, I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel for quite a while, although ironically enough, I tell myself I don't want to be an influencer. My main focus is acting, and it kind of stays that way. But that doesn't mean I don't want to make a YouTube channel because I have made videos before and I love making videos. Plus, I love to share things I like to rant about, and something that I think I can rant about quite a bit is acting. So, this video here is 6 things I've learned since starting acting classes, specifically Meisner technique. My coach does implement other techniques a little bit, but for the most part, the basis of our technique that we study is Meisner. First thing, because we don't make long intros here, is rule number 1: get out of your head and into your body. So, what does that mean, get out of your head and into your body? Pretty much that literally means stop reacting consciously and react unconsciously. Like last week in my class, my coach said this in very simple words: don't decide, react. Decisions take thoughts. They take, you know, rummaging in your head through options. It takes like too much brain power. And that's the problem, is that when you're in your head too much, the camera can see that you're in your head. And unless that's how you should be looking in the scene on camera, that's a problem. So what you want to be doing instead is it's not really stop thinking, but it kind of is. With the Meisner technique, it's a lot of repetition. Basically, the absolute basics of it is one person says something to the other person and they repeat it back and forth. And depending on how you're saying it, doesn't matter what the word is. Depending on how you're saying it, the other person is going to respond accordingly for their perspective. So, how I might respond to how someone says pumpkin is going to be different from how another person is going to respond to uh, when that same person says pumpkin. And we've done that before. We've used like random arbitrary words. One time for my class, my partner and I, for this specific exercise, our word was turkey. And the whole time, you're responding with your body and with your tone. It's not at all about the word. It's about your body and your tone. It's about how you're communicating. So get out of your head, into your body, respond with your body, respond with your tone, because it's kind of like that old kind of sexist thing where it's like, "It's not what you said, it's how you said it," which is actually very true. It's not about what you're saying, it's how you're saying it, because your intention is showing in how you're saying it. Your want, which I'll get to in a bit, is how you're saying it. So, the second part that I was going to get into, that I have on my list here on my computer screen because I have it next to me to refer to so I know what order I'm going in, is daydreaming. So, as an ADHDer, I have been my whole life prone to daydreaming. And it was always in my progress reports and my report cards, whatever, notes from the teachers. Pleasure to have in class, yes, because I was a nice and quiet kid, because I was scared to speak up in class. Other reasons completely unrelated, but something I have always struggled with, especially when I have zero interest in the topic, I daydream. I zone out. So I go to another place and I'm in my own little world, whatever. And the problem with doing this in day-to-day life is that when you're daydreaming, you're coming up with scenarios in your head and you're making up the scenarios that most likely are never going to happen. Like what's the likelihood of any of the scenarios, any of the extreme scenarios in your head actually happening in real life? Probably zero. I'm not saying zero, I'm saying probably zero, because crazy world. But when it comes to a script, you already have everything mapped out. You already know how it's going to go. You already know what the other person is going to say and what their stage directions are, all of that. So the daydreaming involves getting out of you're in your head to prepare yourself for it. And this is where moment before and destination come in, which is the next thing on my list. So your moment before, duh. Let's say you just got home from work. Your moment before was you just got home from work. You had your work day, you dealt with all that crap, and then you maybe sat in traffic, whatever. It was a downpour, people sucked at driving, whatever the case may be. So now you have all this stuff from your moment before affecting your attitude now. It affected you. Everything's going to affect you. Even if you say it doesn't affect you, it's going to affect you somehow. So your moment before is going to translate into how you're going into the next moment, moment to moment. And obviously you have a destination from there too. So while you're in this moment and you're going into the next scene, activity, whatever, you're thinking of where you're going next. And this also involves your want. What do you want in the moment when you're coming home from work, when you're walking through the front door, garage door, whatever? What is it you want? You're probably hungry, you're tired, you want to get out of your clothes, whatever it may be. You daydream it because the more you daydream it, the more you can actually. It's kind of like the thing where they say that if you're in a bad mood and you make yourself smile, like a real smile, not like a picture smile, if you make yourself smile for long enough, apparently the muscles moving in that way can actually trick your brain into being happy or something like that. Well, whatever mindset you put in your head, I'm not saying mindset for that like weird entrepreneur stuff where they're all motivate. I'm not talking about motivational speakers. I'm not talking about motivational speakers. I'm talking about think about the scenario, think about what you just came from. You're thinking about it. And the more you think about it, the more you really feel it. And as you're not forcing yourself to feel things. That's not the point. You're not trying to feel things. But the more you think about it, the more you visualize it, the more you're like, okay, the boss yelled at someone and maybe someone accidentally spilled their coffee all over you, or you dealt with a rude customer, or you dealt with a really sweet customer, or you were missing your pets all day, whatever. Something in there is going to show on your body. Whatever you crafted, it's going to show. And you don't have to put any thought into that once you have daydreamed enough to present yourself that way on camera, because now you've thought about it, you've felt it, you have to let yourself really feel it, and now you just live it. Which sounds, some people might say that doesn't even make sense. I get it. It doesn't make sense, but you put it in your body and now you let it go. Take this, you just exist in the scene. You take the scene as it goes, because whatever you just thought about, whatever you just put in your head and really felt in your body, now it's just going to kind of come out. That's the thing. You're not trying to feel anything. You put those emotions, you thought about everything. You didn't tell yourself I have to feel angry. You thought about things and you're reacting to them in a certain way with your body. And now however you're reacting to them in a certain way in your body, it's going to translate into the scene, if that makes sense. Then that goes into listening with your body. So, for the most part, in most films, you're going to have scene partners. And you may or may not, but for the most part, you'll have a scene partner. Even if you don't, this still works. You're listening with your body. You're not paying attention to what they said, you're paying attention to how they said it, and you're paying attention to their body language. That's pretty much it. So for the most part, it's simple as that. You're paying attention to how they're saying things, how they're presenting themselves to you, how they're coming to you, or maybe walking away from you, whatever it is. And you try not to think about it at all. You just, whatever your instant reaction is, that's what you want. That's what the camera needs to see, is whatever they're doing, your reaction. It's not about your pedestrian life, which is what they call it. It's about your subconscious. How are you reacting how are you immediately reacting? So I guess let's say listen with your gut. It's a lot of training your gut. It's training your subconscious mind, you're training your instincts. That's pretty much it. You're training your instinctive reaction. So from there, you're taking this moment to moment. Now you have your want in mind. You daydreamed everything. You daydreamed what you just had to deal with and what you're possibly looking forward to dealing with, because no one, let's just say this, no one knows what the future looks like. So you don't know what it's about to look like, but even if the scene before, like the moment before, didn't actually happen yet, as long as you believe it, as long as you feel it, as long as it is in there, that's all that matters for what the camera is saying. So you just put yourself in that headspace, your body will pretty much fill in the blanks. And that's what you want. Something that I found that helps a lot in terms of breaking down a script, at least for auditions. I can go into auditions later because I have actually even have ways to I have a specific way to memorize things, which it's kind of silly. It's kind of just writing my commentary into my script. But there is the what frame method. We're starting off with what. So your character as they are, exactly as they are in that moment, in that scene, what do they want? Simple as that. You can get way more specific and you can say, what do they want ultimately, like at whatever. But just for the audition, it's like, okay, they give you the sides. You're looking at the sides and you're like, okay, what does my character want? The more specific you get with it, the better, because the more specific, the more details you get, the more, what's the word? What's the word? What's the word? What's the word? Uh, So then I remember the O is obstacles. So you're always going to have an obstacle in a story. That's the conflict. Whatever your obstacle is, and it can be multiple things, for your character, it's probably going to be multiple things because oftentimes things will get in your way. Like, how do you get from one room to another in your house or in your apartment, whatever? Well, there are walls in the way, there are doors in the way. Those are your physical obstacles. So you have to you can't just go from point A to point B. You can't just go through the walls. You have to maneuver yourself around, right? So, same thing, you have obstacles in everyday life, you have obstacles in a scene. F is feelings. What is the character feeling in the scene? And you're not trying to make yourself feel these things, it will come. It's gonna come. It just, you have to figure out what they are and I guess how to get there. So, usually you want to come up with 3 or 4 feelings and at least one positive feeling in there. The R stands for relationship. Relationship is literally just how do you feel about either the people in the scene with you or in general your environment. Could be what you're wearing, could be something you're holding. How do you feel about that thing? What does your character feel about it? There was a nice freshly baked pizza right there. What is your relationship to pizza? Probably delicious. If you're gluten intolerant and the pizza has plenty of gluten because it's not made for gluten allergies, it probably smells so wonderful that you're looking at it wishing you could have it. If you're lactose intolerant, probably the same, except you're probably going to eat it with regret because you're going to eat it and you're going to love it, but then you know that future you is not going to be happy with current you. So that's like a little bit of relationship with a food. You love it, but maybe it doesn't love you back in whatever way. Or maybe it does. So, like, let's say emotional support something. Some people have a security blanket. What does that item mean to you? A prop. What's your relationship to the prop? What's your relationship to your wardrobe, your environment, the people around you? Probably makes sense at this point. What is your relationship to said thing? The A is as if. So sometimes you're gonna have to find personal things to relate a scene to or to relate a relationship to, whatever it is going on in the script. So there can be a personal, um, whatever the there's like so there's like a personal and then there's like a personal with uh modifications, whatever. So like you have it, it's partially true to real life, but it's also like for the most part you're just kind of coming up. Let's say something that actually happened, as if something that actually happened or actually does happen to you. So you have personal experience with something like this from before, and you don't have to make anything up. Then there's the kind of as if where you can think of a scenario where you can relate to that. However, it hasn't happened to you and you can still put yourself in that mindset. And then there's the as if where it's like completely fake. Like you're just coming up with a scenario. You're coming up with something to relate to for that scene specifically. All right, hello. So this is um, editing Shannon. Well, I forgot to mention, I completely skipped over the I in this. So before I get back to the original video, um, we're gonna go over the I really quick. So the I means intention. So intention is basically how you're intending to make the others in the scene with you feel. So if your intention could be to make someone happy, to make someone sad, to piss them off, to confuse them, whatever. So yeah, it's as if, and then intention, and then we're gonna go into the next letter. And intentional moment before. There you go. So how are you entering the scene? That's pretty much a few major things I have learned and since applied anytime I do a scene. Anytime I'm doing a scene or an improv, whatever, is that no matter what you're doing, you have to get out of your head and into your body. You gotta daydream. You gotta think of the moment before and your destination. You gotta listen with your body throughout the scene to your fellow actors. You're taking the exercise, if it's a repetition exercise, whatever. If it's a specific acting exercise, taking the exercise moment to moment or the scene moment to moment, and the want, obstacles, feelings, relationship, as if, intentions, and moment before method, the WAFrame. I'll try to come up with some kind of posting schedule. I'll try to make it like weekly or something. I don't know. I'm going to try to be consistent with this because I can be very bad at that kind of thing. But I need to come up with consistency. I need to come up with more of these. Anyway, bye.